It's Your Call is proud to introduce this special series dedicated to issues facing women in 2011 and beyond. Gender equality, leadership, violence against women, and health are just a few of the topics we discuss in honor of Women's History Month when we put the focus on women, and it all begins right now. We have brought together an amazing group of women to kick off this new series. We're calling it Focus on Women, and first on our agenda for the month, gender equality. Hi there, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Lynn Doyle, and as I said, in honor of National Women's Month, we've created this series devoted to exploring some of the biggest issues facing women of all ages today and looking ahead. Among them, and topping the list for many, is gender equality. In most cases, women are still not getting paid the same as men for the same job. We'll also talk about women as leaders. We're seeing more women in leadership roles, but we'll look at what needs to be done to increase that number. Also, we'll take a look at women as victims. Females are still more likely to be the victim of a crime and often at the hands of someone they know or love. We're going to tackle that. And finally, rounding out the month, health and well-being. Ladies, you got to take care of yourself if you want to take care of everyone else. But first, in an economy that is challenging to every one of us, every penny counts. So are women getting paid what they should be? And what should you do if the answer to that question is no? And for younger women, is the fight for equal rights still a priority? Or not a fight at all? We're going to pose all of those questions first this hour to my guest, and believe me, they are amazing. Lynn Doyle is currently the director of Drexel University College of Medicine's Institute for Women's Health and Leadership, where she's developed numerous programs, including a national campaign for equality called Vision 2020. She's also the author of a new book, A Will and a Way. Back with us after a long absence, a good friend of mine, Marilyn Russell. She's a longtime women's advocate. She's the host of 95.7 Ben FM's Morning Show and the host of Ben FM's Woman of the Week series, which I am honored to have been a guest on. Leslie Stiles is here with us. She was the executive director of the Pennsylvania Commission for Women, but she's currently president of the board of the Pennsylvania Conference for Women, and she co-chairs the Philadelphia Mayor's Commission on Literacy. And rounding out the panel, another amazing young woman, Ashley Blair Cook. She is the founder, owner, and CEO of Flair Magazine and the publisher and editor-in-chief of the brand's print, digital, and online magazine for modern, successful women and ones who want to be modern and successful. Ladies, I am delighted to have each and every one of you here. I can't imagine what this conversation is going to be like, but I'm just thrilled that they're all honoring women in this month. I do want to start with Lynn, who, as I said, co-created Vision 2020. I want you to tell us what the mission of this vision is.
Well, we have a modest goal of achieving gender equality in time to celebrate the centennial of the 19th Amendment, which was women's voting rights, and that's coming up in the year 2020. So that's where the name came from. So Vision 2020 is a project of the Institute for Women's Health and Leadership at Drexel College of Medicine, and it is a campaign to make equality a national priority through shared leadership among women and men.
Now, you call it a modest goal. Are you saying that almost tongue-in-cheek?
Yes.
Because that sounds like it's a tremendous goal.
I was definitely saying it tongue-in-cheek. We have so far to go. I mean, we waited 133 years from the time the Constitution was written until women got the right to vote. And now it's been 91 years since we got the right to vote, and we still are lagging way behind in terms of leadership, pay equity, all kinds of areas. And so what we want to do is increase the number of women in senior leadership positions till we get to the fundamentally fair level of 50-50.
Well, I know everyone's sitting at home saying, well, how can that be? I mean, why is it in this day and age, going forward at 2011, that we still don't have the rights of men? Any answer to that?
It's a really great question. We are 52% of the population of this state. We are still the major caregivers for our family, for aging parents, and yet we still do not have wage parity. I believe the difference is 80%. I think that's really worse than last year, which was 77% difference. A woman would have to work 3 extra months a year to earn what a man does. Or let me just put it this way, if there were no wage gap, poverty in single-parent households would be cut in half. So you can really see what that, that wage difference is doing to families.
Boy, that's when you hear that out loud, it's just shocking to know that
it's so shocking.
Women are working twice as hard in some cases and not making nearly as much, because not only do we work on the job, but we have typically the caretaker role at home and for families as well.
And Lynn, I mean, we talked about it this morning on my show on Ben FM, but to hear Leslie say we've actually are going in the wrong direction, backward, it's horrifying. So thank you so much for doing this show so we can all share some of this information with all the other women who want to pay attention. I mean, we've talked about over the years the pay discrepancies. I had the pleasure of interviewing Lily Ledbetter, who brought that legislation. She's amazing, to President Obama, but we're still 20 cents on the dollar short. And here's what I resent maybe most of all. We have to look good. Do you know how much it costs me in hair and clothes alone? Like, I need that extra money just to keep up with my male counterparts.
Right.
And so what do we do?
Well, that's going to be the question that we're going to pose to all of you. What do we do about it? But I want to bring Ashley into the conversation because I'm really curious about her perspective, because she is considerably younger than the rest of the panel, and I'm wondering whether your generation even thinks about gender equality or equal rights or equal pay, or whether it's just kind of an assumption that you make that it will be there.
Well, I can't speak for my entire generation, but I can say that I went to an all-girl private school, and I grew up feeling empowered and feeling as if anything was possible. So I've had this mentality my whole entire life that I was going to be able to do whatever I wanted to do in my life. But not all my friends who went to other types of schools felt that way or had different types of families and support structures.
It's great for her to be able to say that, though, that she felt empowered, because I'm not sure growing up that, you know, women who are watching this show of a certain age would describe themselves as feeling empowered.
Well, even if we felt empowered, we might have had a fairly startling shock when we entered the workforce. I mean, I came out of an all-women's college thinking I could do whatever I wanted, and the first question I was asked was, can you type? You know, now this was a number of years ago. Things have definitely improved. I mean, that's the thing we have to acknowledge, is that the world has improved dramatically for women, but in terms of our spheres of influence, in terms of leadership, and also just the imbalances in terms of family responsibilities. We did a series of video interviews on the street of men and women, all ages, and we asked them if they thought men and women were equal. And one young woman said, yes, until we have children. And so that whole issue of the caregiving not being equally shared, that's another Vision 2020 national goal, is to educate employers about the value of policies and practices that will encourage shared responsibilities for families among women and men.
We are, though, to their credit, seeing men being more involved with child rearing responsibilities than perhaps in my father's generation or before that. So there has been some progress. We don't want this to be like a total male bashing hour.
No, but they're not the majority. They really are not. And the fact is, I would like to clone Ashley here, because really between 18 and 25, many young women in that age bracket feel that we did a lot of this equality work, and now it's an even playing field. And the reality is, it just is not. Maybe at a job entry level it is, but then when people go to switch jobs, that's when the salary differential starts. And really, there's no way to change this in terms of employers until you get women in political office making decisions, and women in high corporate places making more decisions, and then you'll see, society begin to adapt.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break, but first we're going to give our viewers a chance to weigh in with your thoughts about gender equality. First, do you think it's already in existence? And if so, we want to know, are you getting paid exactly what your male counterparts are? And here's another one for you to ponder. Who yields the most power in your workplace, the men or the women? I ask a question about who makes better bosses. You're going to love some of the answers that I got from that. If you want to join in, you can email me directly at lynn@lynndoyle.net. As always, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. As I mentioned, we are going to take a quick break, but when we come back, your questions about equality, equal rights, and equal pay. Are you getting what you're worth? Find out right after this.